Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I created this Coptic stitch and Celtic weave. So if you are interested in seeing how I bound this journal, then stay tuned. Today it is finally time to bind my personal journal, and I wanted to first define kind of what we're doing and define my pieces so that when I'm explaining this to you it won't be super complicated and confusing. So what I've already done is I have already punched holes through all of my signatures as well as my front and back covers, and I have put 4 holes through the front cover on the bottom and 4 holes up at the top, and I've spaced them out how I want them to go for the sake of the style that I'm doing today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you with these holes because these are easier to see. This hole and this hole are going to be for our straight line braided Coptic stitch. And then between this hole and this hole, we're going to have a crisscross, which is called a Celtic weave. And then the top 2 will have the braided Coptic stitch like the bottom. So that is what we're doing. I've spaced these out about 1/2 inch between the two closer holes, and then about 1.5 inches between the 2 center holes. So when I'm explaining this, I'm going to say the 2 outer holes and then the 2 inner holes when I'm explaining this. And we're going to work on the bottom section and then the top section. And then through each signature, I have just put 4 corresponding holes at the bottom and 4 corresponding holes at the top of each signature. As I'm explaining this, this is my front cover, and then this is my back cover, and we're actually going to start at the back cover with the bottom signature. It would be the last signature of your book. So we're going to put all of this to the side for a moment, and we're just going to start with one signature at a time and the back cover. So the other thing that I have done is I'm using 2 different kinds of threads. These are both wax linen threads. This is an Irish wax linen thread, and I'm not sure exactly what kind this is, but it's still a wax linen thread, and they're in 2 different colors. You could use the same color and just do this all in the same color if you want to, but I'm going to use 2 different colors because I think it looks cool. And what I've done is I have cut 4 strings. I've cut 2 of the brown, and I've cut 2 of the yellow. And each of these strings is about 5 feet long. And then I've taken my curved needles. I have 2 curved, this is 1 string, okay? I have 2 curved needles on the ends of this 1 string. And we're going to basically use both ends of the string to bind each section of the book. So I've put 2 curved needles on this one, and I've put 2 curved needles on this thread, and we'll get to the other 2 threads when we get to the top section of the book. Okay, so we're going to start with the brown thread. I'm going to get all this other thread out of the way so it's not confusing. And we're going to take both ends of our 1 brown thread, and we're going to go to the center of our signature. We're just going to feed this curved needle through one of these the top center hole, like so. It's easier to do this with curved needles, especially when we get to the end, because a Coptic stitch kind of lays differently than a pamphlet stitch. So if you do have curved needles, that would be your best bet. It's going to give you a tighter stitch than would a straight needle. If you don't, it's okay. It's not a big deal. You can still do it with the straight needles, but curved needles just seem to make it a little bit easier on you. So what I've done is I've pulled my 2 ends of thread through the center holes of the bottom portion, and I have evened them out so that they are just about the same length on the outside of the signature. And what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is now going to be my bottom thread, and this is going to be my top thread. And we're going to take my bottom thread and we're going to feed it from the outside, this is the outside of the cover, to the inside of the cover. Just like that. And then we're just going to align my signature up, and we're going to do the same thing with this thread here. This is my top thread. We're just going to put this through the corresponding hole on the cover from the outside to the inside. And then instead of pulling all the way to the end, we're going to create a little chain loop here. So all you'd have to do is take your thread and go through this loop that you created, and that will create your first chain. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with the top thread. We're just going to feed it through that little loop and make another little chain. Or I should say another knot, because that's essentially all that is. It's a knot. And then we're going to pull it so that the cover and the signature are in line with each other. And then we're going to run the thread back through the same hole. So this is the bottom center hole that it just came out of through the signature. We're going to run it right back through there, and try not to split the thread as you come through. It will weaken the threads, and then eventually that will make this binding really weak. And then once we come all the way back through that hole there, then we're going to go to the bottom outermost hole and go ahead and go through our signature here. And then we're going to repeat that with the top thread. We're going to go right back through the same hole in the signature. And then go through this top outermost hole and come back to the outside of the signature again. And then we are going to again go through the cover, going from the outside of the cover to the inside again. This is where the curved needle comes in handy. You can see I'm going through the cover only, not through the signature. From the outside to the inside. And then I'm just going to pull that through until I have a loop here. And we're going to go back through this loop to create a chain knot again. There we go. And then we are going to repeat that with the top thread. So we're going to go through the back of the cover and through to the inside of the cover, not going through the signature. And then again, we are going to create a chain knot. Okay. And what we need to do is we need to get back to the centermost holes again. So now that we've created that chain knot, we're going to go back through the outermost holes and feed it back through to the centermost holes. And that's where we'll start again. So we're going to go back through the signature. There's the first one. And feeding this one back through the bottom outermost hole, back through the signature. And then we're going to go right back through the center hole. And then we'll bring this one back to the center as well. And now we can start with the next signature. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to the second to last bottom signature. Okay, so we're just going to place this here on top of the other signature, and then this time we're going to leave these brown threads where they are, and we're going to start with the yellow threads. So this is one single piece of thread. It is 5 feet long, and at the ends I have 2 more curved needles, and we're going to repeat the exact same process with this thread on this signature. So one of the ends of the thread is going to go through the top centermost hole. And the other end of the thread is going to go through the bottom centermost hole. And again, we're going to adjust the ends of this thread so that both of them are about the same length on the outside. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our bottom center thread and we're going to go under the previous chain knot like this. And we're going to create another chain knot here. So now we have another loop. Get that loop to where you can see it. We have another loop here. So we're going to go back through the loop to create our next chain knot. And we can tighten that up. So there you have that. And then we're just going to repeat that exact same thing with this side, with the top thread. We're going to feed the top thread under the previous chain knot with the brown thread, like that. Pull the loop up, and then create a new chain knot. And then you want to pull that pretty tight. We're going to go back through the center bottom hole again, like that. And then repeat that with the other top thread. And then we're going to take our thread and feed it through the top outermost hole here. And repeat that with the bottom outermost thread. And then we're going to feed the needle under our previous chain knot and create a new chain knot. So we've got our loop. And then we're going to go through the loop. And same thing with the top. Go under the chain knot. And again, create a chain knot. And then again, of course, we're going to go back through the same holes we just came out of. Same with the top. So now we're going to go right back through the center hole of the signature. And same with the bottom. And we can begin with the next signature. So now we have 2 cords on the top center and 2 cords on the bottom center. Now we're going to go ahead and start on the 3rd from the bottom signature. And this is where things are going to get a little bit different. Okay, so we're going to go back to our brown thread. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top and my bottom and switch them so that I will create a cross. Okay? And then with my new top center thread, we're going to go through the top center hole of the 3rd signature. And then with my new bottom center thread, we're going to go through the bottom center hole. Okay, and of course my camera decided to shut off on me. So now, once we've put the threads through the center holes, we're going to take our thread and feed it through the top outermost and bottom outermost holes, so that you end up like this. And then all you're going to do is take each thread and you're going to feed it under the previous chain knot that you made in the last step, and that would be under my yellow thread here. And then we're just going to create a new chain knot there to connect these. Again, we're going to go right back through the top and bottom outermost holes. And then, if you hadn't guessed, we're going to go back to the center holes to start on our next signature. And we're going to move on back to the yellow threads again. So we're going to leave the brown threads where they are, and we're going to alternate between the brown and the yellow each time and for each signature. Okay. So now I'm going to grab my next signature, which is the 4th from the bottom. Okay guys, once we get to this point where our threads are coming out of the top and bottom outermost holes in the second to last signature, so I only have one more signature to bind in at this point, Once we get to this point, we need to tie off this brown thread. So what we're going to do is just feed one side of this needle up under that little loop that we've already created in there. And we're just going to tie this off. And I'm probably going to double knot this just because I like it to be super secure. And then we're going to tie this one off the exact same way. We're just going to go under this little loop that we created and double knot this one as well. All we have to do at this point is we can cut down our threads. These are done. You can leave them a little bit longer if you prefer. And finish up with our yellow threads. Then, once we come out of the top and bottom outermost holes, then we have to connect the top cover. So we're going to take the bottom outermost hole and going from the outside to the inside of the cover through the corresponding hole, we're going to insert the needle. And then we're going to make a chain knot just like we have been doing. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the top outermost hole. And then we're going to go right back through the center, the top and bottom outermost hole of the signature. Okay. And then go back through the center hole. And then we're going to go from the outside to the inside of the front cover, just through the cover. And then again, make a chain knot. And we're going to do this on both sides. We're going to go from the outside of the front cover to the inside of the front cover and make another chain knot here. And then the final step is just to go back through the center, bottom center and top center holes of the first signature, or I should say the last signature. And then again, we're just going to tie these off. And then we officially have one half of our book bound together. So now we're just going to literally repeat this process, all of these steps, with the top portion of the signature. And that is it. So I will do a final flip through of this and announce the winner of the giveaway tomorrow. So if you haven't already, watch the giveaway video. That's part 2 of creating this journal. And make sure you leave a comment on that video and I will enter you. You have until midnight tonight. Thanks for watching. Bye.